So we've all been upset with boxing for a little bit. A lot of us have had, different complaints, different criticisms about the sport that we love for quite some time. I was just sitting here contemplating about this, especially in light of a lot of the controversy that we've been seeing regarding the WBA, the World Boxing Association. We know that the WBA has been corrupt for quite some time. And with what happened with Michael Fox, it brought up a lot of questions that every few years we tend to ask. How do we fix corruption in the sport? How do we resolve corruption within these sanctioning bodies? And to be honest with you, as big of an issue as I do believe the sanctioning bodies to be, I do think that the bigger issue is sometimes with us, the fans. And here's where I'm getting at, when I say this. So, sometime back, not too long after the whole Michael Fox judging debacle, I was watching the DAZN fight, and Chris Mannix, one of the individuals on DAZN, he goes into this rant, on the WBA. He's saying the fighters that are fighting tonight should take those WBA titles and put those titles in the trash where they belong. And everyone agreed with him for good reason. His anger is understandable. Our anger and all the fans' anger with the WBA, with corrupt sanctioning bodies, is understandable. Here's the problem, though. Chris Mannix, as much as you want to criticize the WBA, well, you're on a broadcast that's broadcasting one of their fights. There's money that's been paid to them, and you're broadcasting it. You're still giving the WBA attention. You're giving this corrupt organization attention. You're still showing the fights that they sanction. We, the fans, are still paying to watch the fights that they sanction. We're still tuning in to watch the fights that they sanction. Listen, we still paid to watch Manny Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas. If it wasn't Yordenis Ugas, a lot of us were still going to pay to watch Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. A lot of us are going to pay to watch whoever is WBA champion fight, so long as it's a fighter that we like. So, is the belt still corrupt? Is it still not worth anything when our favorite fighter is holding it? You know, we as fans, we got to kind of think about that, because if we're paying to watch these fights that goes to the fighters, that the fighters then give to the corrupt sanctioning bodies, well, follow the source of the money. The fan is the source of the money. So year after year, even though we have these same conversations, these conversations don't go anywhere because we're rewarding these corrupt organizations for the corruption that they continue to do. There's something that I strongly believe. Uh, Normally, we as human beings, we're going to do what we can get away with for as long as we can get away with it. Uh, and that's what the WBA, as well as the WBC and these other sanctioning bodies, have done. And that's what they will continue to do, because we, the fans, are going to continue to pay them, even when they do what they're going to do. So, the question is not so much how do we fix the sanctioning bodies, how do we fix corrupt judging or the corrupt judges, but how do boxing fans fix themselves? And I think that's a hard question because, as boxing fans, we have our different biases. I saw one commenter on a post once. He said, once Manny Pacquiao leaves, or this was prior to fighting your Danis Ugas. Once Manny Pacquiao leaves the sport, he's done with the WBA. And I had to ask the question, well, why not be done with the WBA right now? Is it just because your favorite fighter is associated with them? So you'll tolerate the corruption so long as your favorite fighter is still associated with a corrupt governing body. And that doesn't fix the sport. In that case, if you're going to play along with the corruption, along with your favorite fighter, well, the problem is not the corrupt organization, but the problem is the individual that's empowering and playing along with the corrupt organization. So, those are my thoughts. The only question I think now is, when's the next time we're going to have this conversation as fight fans? How much longer are we going to continue to pay the WBC to do what they do? How much longer are we going to pay the WBA to do what they do? Creating these secondary titles, suddenly creating, extra weight divisions, however you may think about that. WBC with Bridgerweight. As much as we complain, when the next WBC champion that we love goes in to fight somebody, we're going to tune in. So that's something that we got to ask ourselves. As much as we're complaining about these sanctioning bodies, are we, the fans, continuing to pay to watch fights that they're sanctioning? I understand we want to support the fighters that are fighting, but the payment that we're giving the fighters, they're giving to the sanctioning bodies. That's a hard truth. That's a hard truth. So the responsibility is on everybody, from your broadcasters, DAZN. Chris Mannix, you're complaining about the WBA, but you're working for a company that's broadcasting one of their fights. So broadcasters, fighters, are you continuing to pay sanctioning fees to fight on their sanctioned bouts? And fans, are you going to continue to pay fighters who are going to give a portion of their paycheck to a corrupt organization? So let me know y'all's thoughts. Peace.